Okay, so are you ready? Because today we're diving deep into Revelation 21,
Ooh,
the New Jerusalem.
I love it.
I know you're not just here for like a quick tour of the gold-paved streets.
Right.
We really want to dig into like the spiritual treasures that are buried in this vision.
Absolutely. And that's what's so cool about Revelation is like it's inviting us to go beyond just like the surface to like decode all the symbols. And then we find these profound truths about God's ultimate plan for us.
Yeah, so let's grab our metaphorical shovels
Do it.
and start digging. This chapter starts off with this super powerful image of God wiping away every tear. No more death, mourning, pain.
Right.
It's like he hits the reset button on all the suffering of the world.
Yeah.
Why do you think John the writer, why start there?
Well, I think it's like a genius move as a writer. Especially because you have all these chapters before it.
Yeah.
With all this intense imagery, right?
Yeah.
Really unsettling sometimes.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but I'm going to give you this vision of comfort and
Right.
hope.
Okay.
And remember, he was writing to people who were being persecuted.
Yeah.
They were afraid, they were uncertain about the future.
Yeah.
So to start off with this promise of God's healing, of God comforting his people,
Yeah.
that would have been incredibly powerful for them.
Right. And for us too.
Absolutely. Like no matter what we're going through, that promise is just this reminder that God sees it.
He gets it.
He gets it, he sees the pain, and he promises to wipe every tear away.
Totally. And it's like, it's not just saying things will get better.
Yeah.
He describes a new heaven and a new earth.
This isn't about fixing what we have.
Right.
This is like a total transformation.
Oh, wow.
A clean break from all the brokenness.
So it's not even like heaven 2.0 or something. This is like a total paradigm shift.
Exactly. A new reality that's all about God's presence and where everything that causes us pain is just gone.
Wow.
But then we get to the part that I think really captures our imaginations.
Okay.
He describes the New Jerusalem,
Right.
walls of jasper foundations made of jewels, streets of gold.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's dazzling.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, are we really supposed to take all this literally?
Yeah, like, do I need to start investing in gold-plated sneakers now for this new reality?
Right.
Like, how's that going to work?
It's a great question. And while the language is super vivid and captivating, we have to remember that Revelation, it uses a lot of symbolism.
Right.
Every detail points us towards a deeper truth.
Okay, so give me an example.
Okay.
What's the spiritual lowdown on, let's say, the 12 gates and foundations?
Ah, yes, the number 12.
Right.
So important in the Bible.
Yeah.
Often represents completeness or God's people.
Right.
And when you look at the names engraved on those gates and foundations, the 12 tribes of Israel,
Right.
the 12 apostles,
Wow.
it paints a picture.
It does.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
All of God's people.
Right.
From the Old Testament saints to those first followers of Jesus, united in this city.
So it's like all of God's people from all time.
Yes.
Every generation brought together.
Under the banner of Christ. Imagine that the walls themselves are a testament to God's faithfulness across generations.
That's amazing.
A tapestry woven from the lives of all believers.
It makes you think, though, like we talk about the New Jerusalem as a place.
Yeah.
But if God himself and the Lamb are its temple, where do we fit in?
Right.
Like, we don't need another
And yet,
willing.
that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because the passage doesn't really say where we are.
Okay.
It just says there's no need for a temple.
Okay.
But remember earlier in Revelation how it talks about us believers as temples of the Holy Spirit?
You're right. Yeah. It's like we become part of the city.
Exactly. It's like less about going to heaven and more like being completely transformed.
Right.
We don't just live there, we become like an essential part of it,
Oh, wow.
radiating with God's presence.
And speaking of radiating, the text mentions how this city doesn't need the sun or the moon because God's glory is what illuminates it.
Yes.
The Lamb is its light.
What an image.
Yeah.
And it's not just about streetlights, right?
Right.
Light in the Bible, especially here in Revelation, it represents God's holiness, his very essence.
Yeah.
It's this pure, radiant light that just eliminates all darkness.
And we're talking about darkness as in like sin and evil.
Yes.
Anything that separates us from God.
Exactly.
So the city being bathed in God's light means none of that is there.
Exactly. In this new creation, there's no hiding, no pretending.
Right.
There's only the pure radiance of God's presence.
It makes you think about all the things we try to hide in our lives now
Right.
and how freeing it would be to just live completely exposed in his love.
Totally. It's powerful.
It is powerful.
Yeah.
But it also makes you wonder if this city is defined by God's pure light, who gets to experience it.
Right.
It can't just be open to everyone, can it?
That's such a key point. The passage is so clear about this.
Yeah.
Only those whose names are written in the Lamb's Book of Life can enter.
So it's not about being good enough or earning our way in.
No, not at all.
It's about accepting God's grace through faith in Jesus
Right,
and letting that change us from the inside out.
Completely. And that brings us back to that beginning image of God wiping away every tear, that transformation, that cleansing.
Right.
That's what lets us experience the perfect peace and joy of the New Jerusalem.
So we're being prepared now for that eternal reality.
Exactly.
There's a part I'm curious about, though. The passage says nothing impure can enter the city,
Right.
which makes sense.
Of course.
But then it mentions the kings of the earth bringing their glory and honor into it.
Okay.
How does that work?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting.
Right.
There are different interpretations of who these kings represent.
Yeah.
Some think they're those who come to faith during the millennial reign of Christ.
You mean not just people who were already believers, but people who come to know God later?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It speaks to the incredible expanse of God's grace.
Yeah.
That his love will always draw people to him.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Even in this perfect city, there's still room for God's grace to work.
absolutely. And notice it doesn't say they just get to enter.
Right.
They bring their glory and honor into the city.
Okay.
They contribute to it.
Wow.
They enrich this already perfect place with their own unique stories.
That's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
like God saying your life, your story matters in this eternal picture.
Exactly.
So we zoom out from the specifics. What's the main takeaway from this vision?
That's a big question.
It is a big question.
Why is it important for us today, even though we're not facing the same persecution as the original audience?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Well, the thing is, this vision of the New Jerusalem,
Yeah.
it's not just some fantasy.
Right.
It's a source of hope for us,
Okay.
of comfort and motivation even now.
Oh, cool.
It reminds us that no matter what we go through in this life,
Okay.
the pain, the sorrow, the uncertainty, there's a future reality where none of that exists.
So it's like a promise that something better is waiting for us.
Exactly. And it's not a passive promise.
Okay.
It should fuel our hope and inspire us to live out our faith and to share that hope with everyone around us.
That's beautiful.
It's about shining a little of that New Jerusalem light in the here now.
It's like we carry a little bit of that city with us right now.
Exactly. It's about letting God's character shine through
Right.
his love, that promise of something new.
Yeah, bringing a little of that golden jasper into right now.
I like it. And it makes you think about those kings bringing their glory, right?
It really does. Because if the city's already perfect,
Yeah.
what could we possibly add? What does it even mean to bring our own glory to eternity?
Right. It's not like we're showing up with trophies.
No.
And that's what's so cool to think about.
Yeah.
What if the glory we bring is really about how we reflected God's love during our lives?
Okay.
The talents he gave us,
Right.
the relationships we built, the ways we helped others.
Yeah.
All of it purified by God's grace.
I love that. It's like we weave these tapestries with love and sacrifice and creativity.
Yes.
And then we get to lay them at God's feet.
It's an act of worship.
A legacy worth striving for.
For sure. It reminds us that what we do here matters.
Right.
Not because we're earning our way in,
Right.
but because we're part of something bigger.
Yeah.
God's story of redemption.
Wow, this whole deep dive has been amazing.
It has.
We barely scratched the surface of Revelation 21,
Just a taste.
but what we did uncover is incredible.
There's always more to learn.
True, but if there's one thing I'm taking away from this,
Yeah,
it's that the New Jerusalem isn't some far-off fairy tale.
absolutely not.
It's a promise,
Yes,
a hope, a peek into God's heart for us,
it's beautiful.
his plan for complete restoration and joy,
A plan for all of us.
and reminds us that we're not just citizens of this world.
Nope.
We belong to a kingdom that never ends.
A kingdom bathed in the light of God's presence.
And in that kingdom, no dress code.
Come as you are.
Love it. Well, we'll leave you to think about that.
Yeah.
A city with no sun, where tears are replaced by laughter,
Beautiful.
and every heart finds its way home.
I love it.
Until next time, keep diving deep.